Hey, what is going on, guys? This is CupcakeSmasher here, bringing you another video, and today I'm actually making a very special thing, and that is a topic that I've kind of been bouncing around for a while, and that is Clash Royale an eSport? Now, this video might be very long, I don't know. I'm trying to cut down as much time as I possibly can. There will be a table of contents on the side of the screen if the video is a super long one, so you can skip to parts you do want. So if you want to do that, you can select from the menu now. But I'm going to get into this, guys. Hopefully it'll be an alright for duration. I originally shot this, and well, it went for 30 minutes. And that was me talking continuously. There was like one pause. It was bad. But what I want to talk to you about is main points about why it cannot be eSport. Now, I really would appreciate your feedback here, guys. Liking and disliking it is really important for me for these topics because it does tell me if I'm accurately gauging what you guys want, and it will actually help get the video into Clash Royale's hands on their side, and it'll help them. I mean, the more ratings it'll get, the more likely they'll see it. And the more ratings it'll get if they're dislikes, it'll show them that they are actually doing the right thing. If they are likes, they will see that they should very much consider changes. So I'm really fine with either one, guys, but I really do hope that you find it in yourself to place a rating. But getting into this, guys, I actually want to go from a lack of balance perspective first. I had this organized differently, but I think it would be better to jump off from lack of balance first. And that would be that the first thing is the average deck cost is not proportional to the average card cost. I'm going to go over this briefly because it is kind of technical, but basically, because the average of a 4.24 for cards is higher than the median of 4, that means that the data is skewed to the right. And all that means is there's outliers to the right side, and that there is, it's incorrectly gauging the actual true mean. That is when you take the average. So that is all that means, guys, and that's just something to know, is that cards actually will go to the higher end of 4.24. That is kind of the goal area, I would say, for a deck. That's not the actual deck estimate. It would actually probably end up higher just based on how the statistics would work, but that is kind of alarming when you compare it to the actual used deck rating. Now, I got a bunch of TV Royale stats. I combined them all, and I got an average of 3.7 for that. And then my average was 3.68. The median was 3.7. The average being slightly lower than the median in this case means that decks tend to go lower on the smaller side than 3.68, which is very, very interesting. It means that cycle decks are confirmed to be the top thing. Also, with TV Royale, the thing you have to keep in mind is that it does try to factor in the least common decks and try to show them to you when they're close. So when you think about TV Royale, the thing is, you're going to get a very different selection. So the decks even being at 3.7 would probably be high because they're not going to be choosing cycle decks, which are very, very, very common. I mean, I didn't see a single minor cycle deck, and I know that's being used. But that is the topic of average deck cost not being proportional. If you want me to go into more of that, I can either make a separate video. There's so much I can talk about with this, guys. Or you can ask me questions in the comments. I will be trying to respond to as many as I can. So if you guys want to hear more about that, please just do ask. And I will, in some form, deliver. Next thing, though, is constant changes to cards don't allow for continuity, and with a sport, you need continuity. That's just absolutely necessary. I mean, if you look at football, you can't just all of a sudden go, and I'm talking American football, guys, sorry, I want to clarify, but if you're talking American football, you can't all of a sudden say, hey, by the way, instead of 11 players on the field, you're now going to have only 4. That will completely change the game. That would change the rules completely. I mean, even small changes change the game in its entirety. I mean, when they changed the receiver passes, like the pass completion thing, where as long as the receiver demonstrated control, the ball could touch the ground, that changed what passes could be completed. That's a complete revolutionary way to play the game, a completely new thing. So these small tweaks, these balance changes, are actually very, very disturbing. And if you're going to have an esport, you can't do it, because if people are going to practice and get very, very good at decks, you can't be constantly changing it up on them, because it won't work the same and it'll be very, very bad. Really, the only form to remedy that in a situation would be to assign decks in a round, which would be kind of bad and be very controversial every time. If you're going to say, hey, you two are using these decks, and then it just so happens the other guy has your counter, that's a bad thing. So these constant changes do not work, and an example of this is the mortar at the start of the game. It actually got 3 balance changes in a row at the start of the game, and that is within a month's time of each other. So keep in mind, guys, if you're trying to make a sport, you want it to be as consistent as possible, and yet within a month span, they had to change one card 3 times just because I don't know why. I don't know why that would happen, where you didn't test it enough, and that's really the position I'm going to take here. Is a issue like that, a critical issue like that, can only become something because it wasn't tested appropriately. In my mind, I don't know if it's what was the issue. I don't know what the excuse was. This was in soft launch, guys, so Supercell was feeling very, very free to balance whenever they wanted. We were actually getting some basically a week apart for a while, and it was kind of an issue, but they did substantial changes, and just if they ever did that again, it would be the end of some decks, and you can't do it. It doesn't work if you're going to do an esport. I'm actually going to skip one topic here. I was going to talk about how legendaries just blow away other cards. I think this is pretty commonly understood that legendaries are way stronger than normal cards, and that they have no place really with what they do. So I hope you guys understand that one on its own. I can do more again with that if you want me to, but I want to save a little bit of time here because at this time I'm already at 7 minutes. Probably after editing will be around 6, but yeah. Next would be a big and controversial topic, and that is the ranking system. Now, a lot of players really, really like the ranking system, and a lot of players really, really hate it. Now, there's some people who hate it just because trolls sit low in the arenas, and that's basically because they don't get punished accordingly. Their system really should have some sort of thing where you really don't want to get demoted, and getting demoted would be a very, very, very bad thing. Like Jake from One Hive, if you know who he is, will not play this game because he doesn't like the ranking system. Now, the ranking system is similar to Clash Clans in that, like, it actually works the exact same way. You start from 0, you grind your way up, and you just play people in your trophy range. Now, better way I think they could do this is have it so there's a broader area. You gain and lose more trophies for people in your area, but you can actually play people from whatever, like, wherever in the game they might lie. And the reason this would be good is because you could play people more of your level. They could add a level criteria, and they're based on card levels, not actual levels, because, well, you've seen the selective upgraders. But so yeah, guys, when you're thinking about that, the ranking system, if they expanded it a little bit, would make it more competitive because you can actually compete more with your own level a little bit, and it just have, a different system. If you're the best, like, say, level 9, and you face a level 9, you may be only gaining 1 trophy, but you're having a fairer matchup. So expanding that interval would be supremely helpful. But with this, guys, the only reason that this system is needed, where a new ranking system to find better players, because the reason a new ranking system would be needed is because players cannot be accurately identified based on skill from a trophy system that only benefits the people who spent a ton of money where they rank in the top 200. That's the reason it's necessary to change it up. And because of that, the progression is just the issue. I've been playing since the soft launch, as I said, day 1. I don't even have a single level 4 epic, which is the tournament standard, and Clash Royale keeps being so proud of what they've done with tournament standards. The issue is, if I haven't achieved it in 6 months, and I'm level 9, and these cards can have up to 200 for some of these levels, and I cannot get the last 10 I need for a level 4, that's very alarming and very scary. I don't want to have to spend a decade just to be able to rank in an area where you could select top players. That just doesn't work. You can't secure people that long, and the progression system is also deterring people who would be spectators in the sport. If it was an esport, you need spectators, right? Every sport would need its support from spectators. The issue is when you have a progression system like this where the legendaries do not come, the epics are so rare. The issue is people start to shy away from the game. They don't want to play it, it's not fun anymore, and it's just not worth their time. That's not good. Obviously, they don't want to do that, so people will dwindle away. And there goes your spectator base. So progression will not only let people rank easier and make the same ranking system work, but it will also encourage more spectators. You'll have even if they're not good enough to compete at a normal level, they'll be ranking up fast enough where it will not matter to them. They will still play the game, they will still watch it, and it'll still be fun. That's only one way to, do it. You need your monetization still, though, so if you're speeding up progression, I'm guessing they're going to want to get their money from somewhere else. It looks like they're dumping a lot of that into tournaments, or at least trying to, which is kind of, I don't know. I don't like how the tournaments have been introduced, but there's not much you can do about it. But if they can start taking their foot off the gas for card progression and start feeding more of that into tournaments, I think it would be a very, very good thing for us and even it out. And I think that would be a very positive change. Another form of alternate monetization would be skins. Like CSGO, I mean, you could have a different skin for your Barbarian, your Golem, whatever. Now, the issue is that would be a very, very bad thing to do right now, because the CSGO skins and everything are falling apart because they had some very bad stuff happen, very bad members of the community doing very bad things. I mean, actually, I don't want to judge them based on that, but basically some bad stuff is going down right now, and Clash Royale does not want to associate with that. So as far as going for alternate forms of monetization, it's not a very good choice to go with skins, even though that is a great way to do it normally. Last but not least, on the topic of progression, would be a grind. If they could add a way where you could actually grind out cards and be a little bit more selective with what you're getting, not in that hey, this chest, if I'm getting a legendary, I want this card. Not like that, but where you can actually have a goal and set it and get it. That would be really important. And this is one of the reasons I like Clash Clans a little bit more than Clash Royale sometimes, is that I get a choice at what I'm upgrading. If I want to upgrade my Eagle Artillery, well, I'm going to do it. In Clash Royale, if I want to upgrade my, I don't know, we'll make something up, Balloon Cycle Deck, that's not a thing, but if it was, I mean, hey, if I want to upgrade that, I can't. The reason is, chests haven't given it to me. I have no control over how I progress in the game, so adding a bit of a grind would be actually beneficial because it would keep my interest, and I think a lot of people's interest a little bit more, because they're actually starting to actively being able to work towards something, and I think it's a little bit better. Last but not least is emotes, guys, and it looks like I did get this video timed down in general. I didn't get it go into all the data I wanted to. I did have to skip one topic, and that was probably one of the longest topics. But emotes is the last one, and it comes down to sportsmanship. I mean, if we look at a video from Galadon the other day, I don't know if I'll throw it up on the screen or not, but sportsmanship, he was talking about bad manners. BMs is what he was calling it, just to be funny. But bad manners in games, and Clash Royale actually actively encourages bad manners, or poor sportsmanship is the way I'll say it, in their games, and that's not good. I mean, if you have a game company actively sponsoring poor behavior, poor stuff, I mean, what good is that? What does that help you with? How do you build a sports off of that? I mean, if we look at Guillermo, if you've watched any Jimmy Kimmel, going to the press conferences for the NBA Finals, I mean, it's really cool to see players actually talk to him because he's having some fun. It's pretty funny. But when you see the players who aren't actively talking with him and doing stuff, it's kind of sad, and it makes it less enjoyable to see those players. Similar to that, Clash Royale can't build a system where these emotes can have such a horrendous effect on people. I mean, it's ridiculous that they're not adding a mute feature. I think that utter not listening, they're not listening to people, and that's a big issue. Why won't they listen to the people who play their game? If they want a mute button for these emotes that show poor sportsmanship, why not? And Clash Royale says it's to induce anger, or not to induce, but to allow strong emotions and everything. That's just stupid. I mean, you know what I have strong emotions for, Clash Royale? A mute button. I mean, it's not that hard to add. I mean, it really isn't. And it's pathetic that they're not doing it. They're not listening to players, and the reason is, in this case, because they think they make more money from it. I don't think that's true. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But I'll give you another example of not listening to players and pretending to. Like the emotes, they're like, oh, you guys just don't understand. And that's the best. I love it when they say the players want it, but they don't understand. I mean, literally millions and millions of players if they want it, but we don't understand. It makes me kind of mad. But getting into another example of this, and one that you guys wouldn't recognize, but their balance changes yesterday were actually a lot sleazier than you would understand. And I didn't want to make a video off of this because I knew it was a cheap strategy, and I didn't participate in it myself, let me be very clear. But what they actually did was patch a strategy where you could farm the tournament to host achievement. And that's what they were doing yesterday. They were trying to, instead of allowing more people into tournaments, and I think that may be partially because they already see that tournaments are dwindling. You can already tell. I mean, go to your local and it'll be ridiculous. I was being matched with people in Mexico, and this is coming from the mid-level of the United States as far as, like, from the top being Montana down to Texas. I mean, I'm in the middle of the United States, really, and I'm getting paired with, like, Mexico, and like, all the way up to Michigan. It's all over the place. The local is horrible, and, I mean, that they were slightly listening, but what they were actually doing was trying to patch something that, was not going well for them. So if that's an example for you guys, I hope that helped. And hopefully this video helped you guys out a lot. I really hope it helped. I really hope you enjoyed it, guys. If you did, make sure to like it up. If you didn't enjoy it, make sure to dislike it. Tell me I did something wrong. Tell me in the comments. I really do want to hear it. And yeah, guys, this has been CupcakeSmasher here, bringing you another video.